Most people never realize that the real danger in their kitchen isn't the dessert or the soda. It's the sauces they casually pour on their meals every day. The sweet and tangy ketchup, the smoky barbecue glaze, the creamy honey mustard. These are the silent sugar bombs hiding in plain sight. One of the biggest offenders is Heinz ketchup, an iconic brand that has built its reputation on flavor and nostalgia. But what most people don't know is that a single tablespoon of Heinz ketchup contains nearly 4 grams of sugar. Almost all of it comes from high fructose corn syrup. The problem begins when you realize that nobody ever uses just 1 tablespoon. Whether it's a burger, fries, eggs, people tend to use at least 3 or 4 servings at once, turning what should be a light condiment into the equivalent of eating multiple teaspoons of pure sugar in a few bites. This constant sugar intake might seem small, but it adds up fast and your body doesn't treat it lightly. High fructose corn syrup, found in most mainstream sauces, is one of the fastest ways to trigger insulin resistance, a condition that eventually leads to fatigue, belly fat, and even type 2 diabetes. Floods the bloodstream with glucose, forcing the pancreas to work overtime to balance your sugar levels. Over time, the body becomes numb to these signals. You start storing fat even when you eat less food. What makes it worse is how these brands market their products. They use phrases like simply Heinz or no preservatives, which sound healthy but don't remove the core problem, the sugar. The sweet taste isn't accidental, it's engineered. Manufacturers use sugar to make the sauce addictive, to make you crave more fries, more burgers, ultimately more sauce. This sugar rush taps directly into the brain's reward center, triggering dopamine, the feel-good hormone that makes you keep coming back for another squeeze of the bottle. It's the same psychological manipulation used in soda and junk food industries, disguised as innocent flavor. And ketchup is just the beginning. Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, another kitchen staple, contains around 16 grams of sugar in just 2 tablespoons. That's equivalent to 4 Oreo cookies, yet it's sold as a savory condiment. People slather it on ribs, chicken, and burgers thinking it's just a little sauce. The truth is, those extra grams of sugar add up faster than anyone realizes. Over the course of a week, just a few casual meals can introduce hundreds of unnecessary sugar calories into your diet without you even noticing. When this happens consistently, your liver starts to store excess sugar as fat, and the body's natural metabolism slows down. You begin to feel sluggish, gain weight, crave even more sweetness to compensate for the sudden energy drop caused by the sugar spike. This hidden sugar crisis isn't just about weight, it's about long-term health. High sugar consumption is linked to chronic inflammation, which damages blood vessels, accelerates aging, and impairs mental clarity. It's also one of the main triggers for skin problems, fatigue, and mood swings. The irony is that people try to eat clean, but keep drizzling these sauces over their food, unknowingly undoing the benefits of an otherwise healthy meal. Imagine preparing a grilled chicken salad with fresh vegetables, only to cover it in a sugary dressing that turns it into a blood sugar trap. The damage is subtle but constant, creating cycles of energy highs and crashes that affect everything from your focus to your sleep. Another major issue is the misleading serving sizes printed on labels. Brands use small serving portions to make the sugar count look lower. When you see 4g of sugar per serving, it feels harmless, but the serving size is often just 1 tablespoon. In real life, people use double or triple that amount. Multiply the numbers, and you start to see the real damage. The problem is systemic. It's not about occasional indulgence. It's about habit. People grow up thinking ketchup and sauces are just normal parts of every meal, not realizing they're training their taste buds to crave sweetness even in savory dishes. Over time, this rewires how the brain perceives food. Real flavors, like the acidity of tomatoes or the bitterness of herbs, start to feel bland because the tongue has been conditioned to expect sugar in everything. Breaking this cycle starts with awareness. Reading labels and understanding what high fructose corn syrup, malt syrup, or evaporated cane juice really mean is the first step. They're all just fancy names for sugar, and they all have the same metabolic effect. Switching to unsweetened sauces or brands like Primal Kitchen, which use organic ingredients and no added sugars, can completely reset your taste buds. At first, these cleaner versions might taste different or even less satisfying, but within days your body begins to adapt. Your natural sense of taste sharpens, and your cravings for sweetness fade. You start to enjoy real food again, the spice of grilled meat, the tang of vinegar, the freshness of vegetables, without needing that artificial sweetness to mask everything. This shift is more powerful than it sounds, because once sugar stops controlling your palate, it stops controlling your energy, mood, and hunger as well. Every creamy dip, rich dressing, glossy sauce that lines supermarket shelves has a secret ingredient that few consumers pay attention to: industrial seed oils. These oils, found in products like Hidden Valley Ranch or Papa John's garlic dipping sauce, are made from cheap crops such as canola, soybean, and corn. They're refined at high temperatures, deodorized to remove their burnt smell, and then mixed with artificial flavors to make them palatable. The end result is a product that feels rich and satisfying in the mouth, but is quietly destroying the body's natural balance at a cellular level. The biggest problem with these oils is that they're extremely unstable. When heated or processed, they oxidize and form toxic compounds called aldehydes, which contribute to inflammation, artery damage, and oxidative stress. Over time, this internal damage builds up, leading to fatigue, brain fog, premature aging even in people who think they're eating normal foods. In sauces, these oils are used as a cheap filler to replace natural fats like olive oil, butter, or avocado oil. Manufacturers love them because they're inexpensive and extend shelf life. But for the human body, they come at a steep cost. Canola oil, for example, is heavily marketed as heart healthy, yet it's often derived from genetically modified rapeseed and chemically bleached to remove its original color and smell. Soybean oil, which appears in most creamy sauces and dips, is one of the most consumed oils in the world and also one of the most inflammatory. It's extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, which are necessary in small amounts but dangerous when consumed in excess. The modern diet already contains too much omega-6 from processed foods, and when it outweighs omega-3 fatty acids from fish or flax, the result is chronic inflammation that silently damages the body. This imbalance has been linked to obesity, hormonal disruption, heart disease, even mood disorders. When you dip your pizza crust into Papa John's garlic sauce, you might think you're getting a buttery indulgence. The reality is that there's no real butter in it, just a blend of partially hydrogenated soybean oil, flavoring agents, and preservatives. Partially hydrogenated oils are a source of trans fats even when the label says 0 grams. Food regulations allow companies to round down small amounts, meaning you can still consume trans fats without knowing it. These fats are among the most dangerous substances in the modern diet because they interfere with the body's ability to regulate cholesterol. They lower HDL, the good cholesterol that protects your heart, while raising LDL, the bad cholesterol that clogs arteries. Even small doses, taken regularly through sauces and dips, accumulate in the bloodstream and slowly harden the arteries. The deceptive part is that these sauces don't look unhealthy. They're creamy, flavorful, and often labeled with words like homestyle, real taste, or original recipe. Marketing hides the fact that the core ingredients are chemically altered oils that have been stripped of nutrients and filled with stabilizers. Every spoonful creates microscopic inflammation, and that inflammation is what leads to fatigue, bloating, and even hormonal issues. The body's natural hormones, especially those related to metabolism and reproduction, depend on healthy fats for balance. When the body is flooded with oxidized seed oils instead, the endocrine system becomes confused. Over time, this can lead to irregular energy levels, stubborn fat storage, and mood swings. These industrial oils also have a direct effect on the skin and brain. The brain is made mostly of fat, and it relies on clean, stable fats to function properly. Consuming oxidized or hydrogenated oils replaces those stable fats with unstable ones, which can affect mental clarity, focus, mood. Many people who switch to cleaner fats like olive oil or avocado oil report sharper thinking and less fatigue after meals. Similarly, skin issues such as acne, eczema, and dull complexion often improve when these inflammatory oils are removed from the diet. What happens on the outside of the body is simply a reflection of what's going on inside. The inflammation that starts in the bloodstream eventually shows up in how we look and feel. The danger of toxic oils is that they act slowly, almost invisibly. Unlike sugar, which gives you an immediate rush or crash, the damage from seed oils builds quietly over months and years. Because they're used in small quantities and mixed into other flavors, it's easy to underestimate their impact. People use a few tablespoons of ranch on a salad or a dollop of garlic sauce on a pizza and assume it's harmless. But these small daily exposures are exactly what make them dangerous. The body doesn't know how to process oxidized fats efficiently, so it stores them in cell membranes where they interfere with communication between cells. Over time, this weakens immunity, slows metabolism, accelerates the aging process. Replacing these oils with healthier alternatives can dramatically change how the body responds to food. Brands like Tessema's and Primal Kitchen use avocado oil, olive oil, or coconut oil instead of seed oils. These fats are stable, nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory. They nourish the cells rather than damaging them, helping to stabilize blood sugar and hormones. The difference isn't just nutritional, it's visible in energy levels, digestion, and skin health. When you stop feeding your body cheap, oxidized fats, your metabolism becomes more efficient, your energy steadier, and your mental clarity sharper. The first step is awareness, reading the labels and learning to spot ingredients like canola oil, soybean oil, and vegetable oil for what they really are, industrial products disguised as food. Once you see them that way, it becomes impossible to unsee. Choosing better options starts to feel natural rather than restrictive. Artificial ingredients have become the invisible backbone of modern sauces, providing the color, texture, shelf life that manufacturers want but at the cost of your health. They hide behind names that sound harmless. Red 40, Yellow 6, maltodextrin, xanthan gum, sodium benzoate, but each one has a physiological consequence that adds up over time. When you squeeze a packet of Taco Bell's fire sauce, or pour Panda Express's sweet and sour sauce over your meal, you're not just adding flavor. You're adding a mix of chemicals that have been engineered to make your brain crave more food, while quietly stressing your digestive and nervous systems. Artificial colors, for instance, are derived from petroleum, the same crude oil used to make plastic and fuel. These colors make sauces look brighter and more appetizing, but research has linked them to hyperactivity in children, allergic reactions, possible carcinogenic effects when consumed regularly. They're banned or restricted in many countries, yet still used widely in fast food and supermarket sauces because they're cheap and visually appealing. Preservatives are another hidden danger. Ingredients like sodium benzoate or potassium sorbate are added to prevent mold and bacterial growth, allowing sauces to sit on shelves for months or even years. While they do extend product life, they can interact with other compounds, such as vitamin C, to form benzene, a known carcinogen. These reactions may occur slowly, but over time, they introduce small amounts of toxins into the body. Maltodextrin, a thickener found in many dipping sauces and dressings, is another culprit. It's derived from corn or rice, but after heavy processing it behaves almost like pure sugar, spikes blood glucose levels faster than table sugar, and disrupts gut bacteria, which are vital for digestion and immunity. Many people who experience bloating, fatigue, or digestive discomfort after eating processed foods don't realize it's not the food itself, but the additives causing the reaction. The flavor industry has perfected the art of manipulating human biology. Artificial flavors and enhancers like monosodium glutamate, EMSG, or natural flavor blends are designed to trick the brain into perceiving a richer, more complex taste than what's really there. In sauces, these additives compensate for the lack of real spices, herbs, or high-quality ingredients. They activate the brain's reward center, making you crave more even when you're full. This is why it's so easy to overeat when sauces are heavily flavored. You're not responding to hunger, you're responding to chemical stimulation. Over time, this overstimulation desensitizes taste receptors, making natural foods like vegetables or unprocessed meats seem dull or bland. Once that happens, it becomes difficult to enjoy real food without sauce, locking you into a cycle of dependency on processed condiments. The gut microbiome suffers the most from these additives. Artificial ingredients like emulsifiers, preservatives, colorants disrupt the delicate balance of good bacteria that live in the intestines. These bacteria play a crucial role in digestion, hormone regulation, even mental health. When they're constantly bombarded with synthetic chemicals, their population diversity decreases and harmful bacteria begin to thrive. This imbalance, known as dysbiosis, leads to digestive problems, inflammation, and weakened immunity. The gut-brain connection means that damage in the gut affects mood and cognitive function as well. People often report feeling anxious, foggy, or tired without realizing that what they're feeling isn't just emotional, it's chemical. Artificial sweeteners, often added to sugar-free sauces, carry their own dangers. Sucralose and aspartame, commonly found in low-calorie dressings or light condiments, disrupt insulin response and alter gut flora. They give the illusion of a healthier choice, but can actually make it harder for the body to regulate hunger and cravings. This is why many people who switch to sugar-free sources end up craving more food overall. The brain senses sweetness but doesn't receive the expected calories, creating confusion that leads to overeating later. Meanwhile, the liver continues to process artificial compounds it doesn't recognize, leading to sluggishness and toxin buildup. The real harm of artificial ingredients lies in their cumulative effect. No single meal is catastrophic, but years of exposure create subtle changes that compound over time. Inflammation becomes chronic, digestion slows down, energy levels drop, the immune system weakens. The skin may show early signs of stress with acne, rashes, or uneven texture. The mind starts to feel duller, more fatigued, less creative. It's a slow erosion of vitality caused not by one ingredient, but by a cocktail of them working together. Most people never make the connection between their daily sources and their health issues because the effects aren't immediate. They're gradual, almost invisible until they're severe. Escaping this chemical trap starts with awareness and simplicity. When you learn to read labels, you start seeing patterns. If a source lists more than 10 ingredients, half of which sound like chemicals, it's a sign it's been over-processed. Real food doesn't need that much help to taste good. A simple homemade sauce made from olive oil, vinegar, garlic, and herbs provides flavor, antioxidants, and nourishment without the chemical burden. Clean brands that use minimal ingredients and avoid artificial additives not only taste better but help reset your taste buds to appreciate real flavor again. Once you experience how clean food makes you feel, lighter, clearer, more energized, it becomes obvious that the short-term pleasure of an artificial sauce is never worth the long-term cost. There's a common belief that eating healthy means giving up taste, that clean food must be bland and unsatisfying compared to the rich flavors of commercial sauces. But that idea couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that healthier sauces not only exist, they can completely redefine how food tastes and how your body feels after eating. The rise of brands like Primal Kitchen, Tessimas, and Coconut Secret has proven that flavor and health can coexist when ingredients are simple, honest, sourced from nature instead of laboratories. What makes these sauces different isn't just what they contain. It's what they leave out. They skip the refined sugars, hydrogenated oils, and chemical preservatives that dominate mainstream brands, focusing instead on real foods like avocado oil, coconut aminos, vinegar, and herbs. This shift in ingredients transforms sauce from a guilty pleasure into something nourishing and sustainable. When you swap out a conventional product like Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce for G. Hughes sugar-free BBQ sauce, the difference is immediate. The sweetness comes from natural alternatives like stevia rather than high fructose corn syrup, and the flavor feels more balanced rather than aggressively sweet. Your body processes it differently too. Instead of triggering an insulin spike, it provides steady energy and a cleaner finish. The same goes for ketchup. Primal Kitchen's unsweetened ketchup relies on organic tomatoes and vinegar instead of added sugar, letting the natural acidity and flavor of the tomato shine through. It may taste less candy-like at first, but over time your taste buds recalibrate. You start to notice the complexity of real food again. Once you get used to authentic flavors, the artificial sweetness of regular condiments starts to taste almost unpleasant, like syrup covering something that doesn't need to be hidden. Healthy sauces also change how your body digests and responds to meals. When you eat a sauce made with avocado or olive oil, those fats help absorb vitamins from vegetables and stabilize your blood sugar. Instead of the crash that comes from sugary sauces, you feel satisfied for longer. Natural acids like apple cider vinegar or lemon juice aid digestion by stimulating stomach enzymes, which makes it easier for your body to break down proteins and fats. Herbs and spices like garlic, turmeric, or basil add not just flavor, but also antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. In this way, a good sauce becomes more than a topping, it becomes part of the meal's nutritional foundation. Every ingredient has a purpose beyond taste. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you move toward cleaner options. Stop seeing food as a quick fix for hunger and start seeing it as fuel for energy, mood, and performance. Sauces made from whole ingredients make you feel light instead of heavy. The absence of artificial additives means you don't get the bloating, brain fog, or fatigue that often follow meals filled with processed condiments. For many people, the difference becomes noticeable within days. They report better focus, clearer skin, and more stable energy simply by switching the sauces and dressings they use. It's a small change that carries a ripple effect throughout the body. The misconception that healthy sauces lack flavor often comes from years of conditioning. Processed food companies have trained the palate to crave extremes, excessive sweetness, overpowering salt, or artificial smokiness. These sensations overstimulate the taste buds but dull them over time. When you move to natural sauces, you start to rediscover subtler layers of flavor that artificial ones bury. You notice how coconut aminos add gentle sweetness without sugar, how real mustard seeds create natural spice, or how apple cider vinegar brightens a dish instead of burning it. Cooking becomes more intuitive and satisfying because the food feels alive, not manufactured. Another reason healthier alternatives stand out is how they support long-term wellness. Industrial sauces filled with seed oils and additives inflame the body at a cellular level, while clean sauces nourish it. Avocado and olive oils provide monounsaturated fats that support brain function and heart health. Coconut aminos offer amino acids that promote muscle repair and metabolism. Even something as simple as switching to a vinaigrette made from olive oil, vinegar, herbs can reduce daily intake of artificial ingredients dramatically. The result isn't just physical improvement but emotional balance as well. When your meals support rather than stress your body, you feel calmer, clearer, and more in control. Healthier sauces also fit seamlessly into modern lifestyles. For people following keto, paleo, or clean eating diets, these alternatives make it easy to stay consistent without feeling deprived. Instead of cutting out flavor, you're upgrading it. Once you experience how much better food tastes when the ingredients are real, you start questioning why the processed versions ever became normal. The craving for fake sweetness fades, and genuine flavor becomes satisfying again. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but once it does, it's permanent. Your body naturally prefers real nourishment over chemical imitation when given the chance. The change from unhealthy to healthy sauces might seem small, but it marks a deeper transformation. It's a move from unconscious eating to intentional nourishment, from convenience-driven choices to self-respect. Each clean ingredient becomes an act of alignment between what you eat and how you want to feel. While it starts with something as simple as a bottle of ketchup or a jar of ranch, it often leads to broader awareness about what food truly means for your body, mind, and energy. The sauces people use every day may seem like small details, but they hold the power to shape health far more than most realize. Every squeeze, dip, or drizzle adds up, not just in calories but in chemical exposure, hormonal disruption, and metabolic confusion. These small, daily choices accumulate quietly until they become patterns that define how a person feels, looks, and functions. The body is incredibly adaptive. It learns from what it's repeatedly exposed to. When it's flooded daily with sugars, seed oils, additives from commercial sources, it learns to expect those things. Insulin levels rise, taste buds adjust, and the craving cycle deepens. The sauces that were meant to enhance food become controlling agents that dictate what you eat and how you feel afterward. This is the silent trap most people fall into without noticing because the changes happen gradually. Each meal seems harmless. Bit of ketchup with fries, ranch on a salad, barbecue sauce on grilled chicken. But the repetition creates dependency. The body becomes desensitized to natural flavors, expecting every bite to come with an artificial boost of sweetness or fat. The brain's reward system responds to these flavors by releasing dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and motivation. The more frequently you activate it with processed sauces, the harder it becomes to enjoy unprocessed food. This is how small dietary choices can create long-term changes in behavior and physiology. What starts as a preference for certain condiments evolves into a subconscious addiction that drives eating habits. Over time, your body doesn't just crave the food, it craves the sauce itself. These habits influence metabolism in subtle but powerful ways. The constant intake of hidden sugars in condiments like Heinz ketchup or sweet baby rays keeps insulin elevated, preventing the body from efficiently burning fat. Instead of using stored energy, the body clings to it, storing more fat around the midsection and organs. Meanwhile, the refined oils found in ranch or garlic dipping sauces create inflammation in the gut and bloodstream, making it even harder for the metabolism to function properly. Fatigue sets in, digestion slows, and the immune system weakens. Yet, because these changes occur slowly, they're easy to blame on age, stress, or genetics instead of daily choices. The truth is that your metabolism is constantly responding to what you feed it. Every ingredient either supports energy flow or blocks it. The beauty of small choices, though, is that they can work in the opposite direction too. Replacing one toxic source with a clean alternative can begin to shift your entire system back toward balance. Using Primal Kitchen mayo instead of a conventional brand swaps out seed oils for avocado oil, supplying your body with omega-9 fats that support brain health and reduce inflammation. Choosing Bragg organic vinaigrette instead of a sugar-laden dressing gives your digestive system the enzymes and acids it needs to process food more efficiently. These seem like trivial swaps, but they compound in the same way the bad ones do. Over time, the body begins to detox naturally. The taste buds adjust, the cravings fade, and the metabolism stabilizes. Within a few weeks, many people notice clearer skin, more consistent energy, and less bloating, all from changing something as simple as a sauce. This principle, small choices creating big impact, extends beyond food, represents how the human body and mind adapt to consistency. Just as repeated exposure to toxins leads to decline, repeated exposure to nourishment leads to renewal. The sources you choose are symbolic of how you approach health overall. Do you prioritize convenience and instant pleasure, or do you choose awareness and longevity? Each decision is a message to your body about what it can expect from you. When you begin choosing clean sources, even when nobody's watching, you're reprogramming yourself to value what's real. You're reminding your body that it deserves ingredients that heal, not harm. People often underestimate how quickly the body responds to better fuel. When you replace sugar and seed oils with real ingredients, your cells begin regenerating faster. Your hormones start recalibrating, hunger cues become more accurate, and your energy levels even out. The mind follows the body, mental fog lifts, irritability fades, and motivation increases. All this from a shift that costs almost nothing and requires no extreme diet, just mindfulness about what goes on your food. These seemingly small decisions carry immense biological and psychological weight because they're repeated hundreds of times a month. Every squeeze of a bottle or dip into a cup reinforces a pattern, and over time, those patterns become identity. What's powerful is that you don't need to overhaul everything overnight. Changing even one or two sources can trigger a chain reaction that affects other habits naturally. Once you experience the difference in how clean food makes you feel, it becomes easier to make better choices elsewhere. You start craving freshness instead of sugar, real flavor instead of additives. Your sense of taste sharpens, your appreciation for food deepens. The energy you gain from removing toxic ingredients becomes motivation to move more, rest better, and live consciously. That's why small choices matter. They're not just about nutrition, they're about self-respect and awareness. What you eat is information. Every bite tells your body how to perform. The sources that seem minor are actually the messengers carrying that information. When you fill your meals with chemicals and sugars, your body receives chaos and confusion. When you fill them with clean oils, herbs, and natural acids, it receives clarity and direction. Over time, those tiny messages accumulate into visible change. The body heals, energy returns, and food begins to feel like nourishment again rather than guilt. The lesson is simple but powerful. Mastering your small choices gives you control over the big outcomes. The body doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to consistency. And consistency begins with what you reach for next time you open the fridge and decide what sauce to pour.